Souls 3. I really love this series, and I've been playing Dark Souls 1 and 2 as well. And this is probably the main reason why I haven't uploaded any videos since a few days, because I've been just playing Dark Souls 3 all the times and also some Battlefield 1. But I've really enjoyed this so far. The bosses are great. I'm about like 30 hours in and I've already beaten some of the bosses, and I thought in this video I would just show you what I love so much about this game, do a bit of a review of the whole game, and talk about why I think it is a piece of art, these Dark Souls games. And then also, do a bit of let's play, show you the different areas of the game, which do look pretty cool, I think. Okay, so this is where the game basically starts off. This is the first mini-boss fight in the game, and this is close to the Firelink Shrine up there, and I'm just walking around a bit. This is my Lothric armor that I have here, and for some reason there's a guy who wants to kill me here. He's mad at me for some reason, I don't really know. But as you can see, he has a huge club, which is pretty powerful, and I'm just trying to not get killed by him. So, I don't know if you ever played Dark Souls, but it's probably known best for being a pretty difficult game. Basically, one mistake can cost your life, and if this guy hits me with his club, I'm almost dead. Luckily, I'm able to dodge it here, but yeah. Oh, he hit me, shit. So as you can see, I lost 3/4 of my life already, and as you can see, I'm dodging around a lot, which is really important in this game. So, he's done.
This bastard.
So he's leaving me some loot. He has like a huge hammer, which I can't use, I think. There it is. It requires 50 strength, which I don't have. So my build is a bit of a generalist build. I'm gonna show it to you later, but I basically do a bit of magic and I focus on quality build, which is strength and dexterity. And I'm gonna show you like the main place, my home base, so to say, which is this Firelink Shrine. Where have these undead people who try to kill me here? So, I'm currently having a dark sword on me, which I haven't infused yet, but I will. I like the moveset of it. So this is basically the main shrine where you always teleport back to. You can buy stuff here. There's this guy who can upgrade your weapons with boss souls. Then there's this lady who helps you level up with souls. Then there is this guy who can upgrade your weapons.
Which is good to what needs.
And here, basically, that's the weapon I'm currently using. And I'm thinking about getting like a quality upgrade to it, which scales with strength and dexterity, but probably too much detail for you. This is a guy who sells pyromancies. This guy is selling sorceries. And this is a thief. And And back there was Carla, who sells pyromancies. And this lady is selling some rings and some spells as well. So basically these people, you discover them while playing through, and if you talk to them, they will come join you and you can buy stuff from them basically. So I think I'm gonna show you some of the areas in the game. Maybe starting off with Lothric, which I do enjoy quite a lot. This was like the starting area, which is similar to Dark Souls 1, the Undead castle basically. And for some reason I really love this, being in a castle like this, fighting against undead people. I don't know, this is the setting I like most for whatever reason. And as you can see, the atmosphere is pretty cool. You have all these crazy undead people praying here. And I'm a bit overpowered for this region, but still, they can do a lot of damage if you're not careful, as you can see here. Tried to backstab, but didn't work. And yeah, beforehand there was like a dragon here, and yeah. So here, up there was a dragon which I killed, who usually like spits fire at you. I'm not gonna fight all of these guys. As you can see, you can avoid most attacks by dodging in this game. So here, I got fucked. So generally in this game you don't want to take on large masses of enemies. Even one single enemy can easily kill you, and even the small enemies like skeletons or rats can easily kill you with like 3 or 4 hits. This is where the dragon was back in the day. This is one of the Lothric knights, they're pretty strong. Yeah, he hit me here, and you can see he almost like got rid of 1/3 of my life. And never gets easy. I really like the moveset of this weapon. He makes like a turnaround. Something that's new about the Dark Souls is enemies that are transforming into some beasts. I can show it to you now. As you can see here, there's this guy who's gonna transform into some monster. It's beautiful, right? He's actually pretty difficult at the beginning, but now he's not so much of a threat anymore. But yeah, I really love this. Basically everything that you can see, you can go there as well. And it's just an amazing game. Yeah, we have some skeletons here. Trying to kick the guy. But yeah, I really love the level design. It's really one of a kind. So basically, you can't save the game at any point you want. You can only basically save the game at these flames. And the deeper you go into the level, the more pissed off you are if you die, because you're losing the souls, which you can see on the right bottom corner, which is basically your currency for leveling up, but also for buying stuff. So it's really annoying if you've been playing for a while and you have like 10,000 souls or 20,000, and then you die, and then you have a chance to go back to this place and get back your souls, but you might also not do it. So yeah, this was pretty bad fight, but whatever. I was too impatient here. And I just feel like this Lothric castle is such an amazing, nice, enjoyed this first area so much. And especially at the beginning, you're really scared all the time to die, and it's just hard. This is a nice cathedral, almost looks like Notre Dame in Paris. And yeah, so it's really difficult to convey what makes this game so special, but it's really captivating, like the fact that you can die at any second that you're not careful, and just this mysterious vibe, and yeah, it's just pretty insane. So now I'm taking on a ring that basically makes your steps inaudible so you can sneak behind enemies. I'm looking for it now. It's really useful because you can backstab enemies pretty well. So choosing rings in Dark Souls 3 is really difficult because there's so many good rings. You really have to make a difficult trade-off decision and switch them off pretty regularly. So these backstabs are pretty powerful. Ah, cool, that's actually a Lothric sword. This is a sword that I was looking for a while, and it can be pretty useful. And I really like the moveset of these shorter swords. So yeah, what's great about this game is definitely the level design. You basically, in one area, you play it really differently than playing, for example, Skyrim or something, because you basically have to play it very thoroughly. At least that's how I play it. You have to look at every corner because there's so many hidden pathways, and this is the only way to really play it. And this is the area where there was actually a boss fight with like some big freezing kind of dog or something, or boar. Look at this amazing view. I just love this. And the cool thing is, all of these places you can visit later on. So, yeah. Usually there's like some gargoyles who pick you up at this point. But this is the Undead settlement. And I think from the character design of the enemies, it's maybe a bit similar to Bloodborne, with these kind of farmer types of guys. But it's not my favorite area, frankly, but still pretty cool. There's some dogs attacking the undead people for whatever reason, so I'm just gonna slip through here. So there's another fireplace where you can rest. So these are the kind of farmer enemies. They're pretty slow, but they do pretty good damage. So I wasn't careful here, as you can see. So yeah, as you can see, some places are really dark, but that's made on purpose. So usually I would take a torch here, but I'm just gonna run through this place. But I think this looks pretty cool. It's like a big tree where there's these weird people praying in front of it. I just really like still the area, which looks kind of like a ghost city or something, like a ghost town. I'm not gonna fight all of the enemies here because this will take too long, and just dodging past them is generally quicker. As you can see, this one bomb almost killed me here. Pretty hardcore. These enemies are pretty funny too. Pretty strong at the beginning, at least, also. because they can multiple times like punch you down with their pot, and also you can't really backstab them because they are protected there. But yeah. So yeah, this was a place where there was a boss fight with some kind of wooden monster. It was a pretty cool fight. You could only kill him when you were hitting his eggs, so like a huge tree. It was a pretty scary fight. I think I died like 1 or 2 times. It wasn't extremely difficult once you knew how it worked, but also not a super easy fight. So yeah, she does a good amount of damage with her mace. Couldn't really backstab her, but it's fine. So this is a second area that I would like to show to you. I'm basically in a swamp here and fighting these weird, huge elk people or whatever these demons are. They do a good amount of damage as well. And frankly, this is not my favorite area because you get poisoned right away. But yeah, these are the guys that are just walking around here. And this is the Farron Forest, it's called, I think. And you have to dim like 3 fires for you to being able to go through a big door. And then you have to fight the Guardian of the Underworld. He's called, I think, Wächter der Unterwelt. He was a pretty strong boss. He killed me like 2 times or something. And yeah, generally speaking, the way you play this game, you have to be super careful. Because if you want to really find all the items, you just want to go in every corner and search everything and look for shortcuts. Because otherwise, if you just walk through it, you miss like almost half of the game. And it's also going to be difficult if you don't find important items. And these frogs are super annoying because they can basically curse you, which makes you die right away. And you need to take some really expensive potion to get rid of the curse as well. So, yeah, this is basically the swamp area of Pharaoh. And I still think the level design is pretty cool. There's like an old wolf hanging out somewhere around here. And you can also join his covenant. So maybe, generally speaking, this game is really confusing and it doesn't really tell you what you need to do. And you basically just have to figure out everything on your own. Because there's not really so much help. There's not really a tutorial showing you how you can craft weapons, how the whole damage system works, where you can continue. So I think it's fine if you look up stuff online sometimes, because otherwise you will just miss stuff, or you just play it through several times. But it just, at the beginning, if you're just starting off with this game, it's just not very beginner friendly, because it doesn't really lead you by the hand. It doesn't really tell you what important stats there are. And on the other hand, this is also a good part about the game, because it's pretty mysterious. Even like you have a lot of choices. There's not one best weapon, there's not one best armor. There's different playstyles that are legitimately playable. I'm playing a bit of an all-rounder, which probably most people would find stupid, but guy's almost killing me again. But you can also skill for strength. You can go into full sorcery. You can do a lot of different stuff, and it's really a very, very, you could say complicated system, or very well-crafted system on how you can develop your character, how you can craft your weapons to scale with certain stats that you have. And generally speaking, most important in this game is not your level, but it's your skills first of all. Second of all is probably your weapons and your strategy and your equipment. And third is maybe the level that you have. I wanted to show you these guys. They transform into some weird animals. And they become pretty strong as well. Alright, so now we're in the Cathedral of the Underground. I really like the level design of this as well. There's some graveyard in front of it. I'm gonna just, for demonstration purposes, switch to a large butchering knife. You can really take huge weapons in this game, but I prefer to also have a shield. In Dark Souls 1, having a shield was really very important. Now you can easily play without a shield by just dodging. This guy was just burning himself. And you can actually do kind of a front stab with this weapon as well. But as you can see, my weight is too heavy. I can only do like a fat roll, so a very slow roll, which is really very dangerous in this game. You shouldn't be doing this. So either you switch to another weapon or a lighter armor, or you use something like Havel's Ring, because as you can see I'm not able to move very quickly. So I'm gonna use Havel's Ring now. And now I can roll quicker. Bit of an overkill for these small things, but these weird skeletons spawn everywhere, and they're like puking stuff. Pretty gross. Stop it. So yeah, I just wanted to show you this area as well because I think the cathedral looks really cool. It's also one of the areas that I really like. These guys look weird as well. Just gonna kick him down. So having a large weapon is obviously not as quick, but it can interrupt the attacks of enemies, and I think the game is balanced out pretty well. So there's not one perfect way. You can choose large weapons or small weapons, whatever. Okay, so here is the cathedral, and I think it looks pretty amazing. It has really high ceilings, and there were like two giants here. One of them I killed already. One of them I might just kill later on, actually, because I haven't done that yet. And yep, I just really like the design of this cathedral as well. If you look to the left, there was actually a boss fight here with a larger mass of people which you had to kill, which I succeeded at the first try. Actually, I don't want to brag, I'm probably not even a really good player, but I have a bit of experience from the other Dark Souls parts. Here I wanted to show you actually the fire. These are really weird enemies. So this looks really cool. This is the bed of like the queen or something, and she has become really weird and nightmarish. You can join her covenant and you can redo your stats here, but this is something I really enjoy about this game. It's really not for kids, I would say. It's really dark and nightmarish, like some of the creatures you will see. You can dream of them, and it's not for the lighthearted. And everything is really mysterious and confusing also. It has a very dark feel to it, very desperate, like everything is full of suffering and everything is so dark. As you can see here, I have a lot of spells. And you might wonder, like, why don't you specialize in something? And this is probably something where I kind of suck, but I like to play like this, to experiment with a lot of different stuff. So I'm quite an all-rounder guy. So I think I can either do miracles or sorceries or pyromancy. So these are the 3 classes, and I do all of them basically. And it's probably not so smart to be like an all-rounder, but I just enjoy playing this way, so I can do magic, and I'm very, very versatile. I'm also using a bow sometimes, and I really enjoy this. So yep, I'm switching to the silver knight armor now, just because it looks kind of cool. In Dark Souls, it's also really important to look cool. It's called Fashion Souls. But yeah, I'm not playing really PvP or all this online stuff. This is pretty funny, but it's too heavy. I'm just playing the campaign usually, but this head looks pretty stupid. And I'm also, after playing in the normal difficulty, you can play in New Game Plus, which I'm not gonna do. Actually, I think I have the wrong weapon. I don't like to fight with these huge weapons. Mostly. Yeah, this is the wrong way. So I think I'm going to kill the giant now down there, because there was some kind of loot that I didn't collect yet. So I'm gonna switch to the normal Karthus sword. The Karthus sword is pretty good, I think. It has a pretty long reach, so to say, and it can interrupt enemies. It's pretty quick, and I hear it's also a weapon that's being used in PvP quite a lot, but I don't love the moveset, but it's okay. Just gonna stab some people here. You can dodge a lot of attacks, and that's really important. This is where the boss fight was actually, but I'm gonna walk in the other direction because there was another knight which I want to kill. One of the big knights. And the funny thing is, up there, if you look at the ceiling, you can walk up there as well, and there's enemies shooting with arrows at you, which is pretty mean. I think I'm gonna just kill him like this. Maybe it's a bit unfair, but whatever. Sorry, no time for that. No loot, okay. So, I really like this type of play style where you're very versatile, because I can do magic, I can shoot bows, and I can do a lot of shit. This probably is at the detriment of my damage output, but that's fine for me, because I think playing this way is just more fun, instead of just always skilling for strength and then using a huge weapon, which a lot of good players do probably. These small guys, they're so annoying. That kind of sucks. So I want to go somewhere where I have a bit more room to fight, because that's generally a good idea. Because if you're in very narrow places, that's gonna make your fight much more difficult, especially against a heavy shield like this one. You don't want to get hit by his mace, otherwise you're almost dead with 2 hits or something. So he's a bit too slow, and he's not as strong as the Dark Knights in Dark Souls 1, I feel. So I'm gonna go to the giant now, and I killed a few of those. I think they're pretty impressive, and it's so cool that you can kill these huge guys. But this is why I like my magic as well. It gives me more flexibility while playing. I think I want to go below his feet. That's generally a good idea with huge enemies like this. I'm just gonna try to attack his feet for now. As you can see, the green bar is my endurance, and you can't just hit all the time. This actually, maybe I need to invest more in it, because you become very vulnerable if you have no endurance left, because you can't block and you can't really dodge anymore. You can do a roll, so you always want to have your endurance in mind. So this wasn't too difficult for now. I can't walk faster in this mod, unfortunately. It's like some kind of armor. Cool, you can actually open that. I didn't do that yet. Sweet. But I think I'm gonna pick up the loot first now. Yeah. Just a soul. So basically you can consume those for increasing your soul count on the bottom right, as I told you, which you can then use for leveling up, for improving weapons, for buying sorceries. And most of this you're doing at the Firelink Shrine, or whatever it's called in English. Look how cool it looks. You can basically see a lot of the world, but yeah. Look at this, there's so much stuff that is hidden. And maybe if I need to talk about the disadvantage of this game, it's maybe also sometimes it's a bit unfair, because there's hidden doors where you basically need to hit the walls for them to disappear, but it's really difficult to identify those, and sometimes really important stuff is hidden in these walls, and that is a bit unfortunate. So what else am I going to show you? So next I want to show you the Catacombs, which I think is a pretty cool area as well. It's a pretty classical dungeon with skeletons and so on, but yeah, I wanted to show you like a big weapon, which I'm not really used to playing with, because I think it's too slow, and you actually need to double-hand it like this, because it does more damage, but you can't block like this. And I'm not really good playing like this, as you can see soon. And also, I'm too heavy, so I can't really dodge. So this is really not a position you want to be in, to not being able to dodge attacks. warriors have these huge swords that they play with, or some huge clubs that just scale with strength. So yeah, if I am to criticize something, sometimes I think this game is a bit unfair because basically you have some hidden walls where some objects are, and it's just almost impossible to find them, or there's like a secret level where you have to make a certain gesture. This is a beautiful city, I think. It's like a wintry feel, and there was a boss fight up there, and I really, really like this area as well. There was some kind of huge red dinosaur following me here, which you can't really kill at this moment, or you couldn't kill. And this is also one of my favorite areas so far. I really like the whole design of it. So these guys are pretty strong actually, I'm kind of scared of them. But I'm doing good damage with this new fire spell and my Carthus sword. Yeah, this is what you don't want to have happen here. You don't want to fight against different of these. This is the Smoldering Lake, it's called, I think. And it's a bit of a lava place, basically. This is where the boss fight was, which I made not so long ago against some kind of underworld demon or something. That's what it was called, and I think the arena looked pretty cool. It wasn't too difficult though. I fought him without a phantom or something. I died once, but then I found out that you can pretty easily kill him with magic or from afar. So I just used soul arrows and killed him like this, which was pretty easy, frankly. So this is an area which is pretty funny as well. There was like a huge worm there, and there was some people shooting at you with huge arrows all the time, but I stopped this now, and I killed the worm as well. So I want to show you some of the enemies here, which are designed pretty well, I think. There's these crow peoples, they're pretty strong. Honestly, I don't know. And the problem is these fireballs, they shoot fire at you. As you can see. Shards, you can improve your weapons actually. So yeah, as you can see, there's like these kind of roots everywhere, which I think looks pretty cool. These types of enemies were in the swamp already, but now they do extra fire damage, I think. I can't see much here. And I almost get poisoned, unfortunately. What I also would like to show you is like the prison of Irithil. Irithil is the snow city that I showed to you previously, and you can go into their prison, which I think has a pretty cool feel to it. It looks pretty sweet, and there's these really kind of. That's how I imagine Azkaban and Harry Potter should be, or would be. There's these scary guards that basically can leech off your life really quickly, so you need to kill them off really quickly as well. And there are some really weird creatures hanging around here, and yeah, they're not really pretty. You wanna kill them quickly because otherwise they're draining their life very fast. I wanted to show you some of the ugly creatures in here. Usually here I would use a torch, which I'm doing now. But these are some really ugly creatures, and later on they fight you as well. And yeah. I also like the level design of this prison. There are these skeletons or zombies or whatever attacking you everywhere. And then there's this weird spaghetti monster down here as well. So yeah. So as you can see, I'm losing my blood here, which makes it quite annoying because you're losing quite a lot of life. And there's a lot of these prison guards coming at me. So yeah, as you can see, it's a pretty dark atmosphere everywhere. There was a giant in here as well attacking me, but I killed him as well. And yep. Anor Londo, it's one of my favorite areas, and players of previous Dark Souls will know this already. And in Dark Souls 1, this was where Ornstein and Smog, or whatever he's pronounced, was one of the most difficult boss duos. And I really like this area so much, these Gothic cathedrals and these big stairs everywhere. I'm gonna show you some of my stats here. This is currently the sword I'm using. I haven't infused it yet. I have this Stora sword, which I have some raw damage infusion on, but it's not really the best anymore, but it's a good sword. Then there's this Lothric sword, which is good. Then there's a dark sword I'm currently using. Then the Irithil sword, which is pretty good as well. We have, some different weapons. Some of them I've showed to you already. This is pretty good as well. The Karthus sword, which I showed to you also. And the thing is, all of these weapons can be good. You can successfully use any of these, and you're gonna do fine. I'm also often using these bows. This is a new one I haven't used so far. And yeah, here's also some of the cleric stuff I can't use yet because my faith isn't high enough. And I'm currently using a pretty basic type of shield. This one has pretty good stats as well. But the one I'm currently using, I like it because it's not too heavy and it has 100% physical damage absorption. And this is generally the armor that I've been using, the Lothric Knight armor. this is the sun armor. And this is the knight armor, which I started off with because I started as a knight class, which is pretty good as well. But I'm gonna continue with my stuff. The rings are really important as well. So this one Glorantine ring is really important. Havel's ring is good if you have heavy stuff. So yeah, you gotta find these rings if you play very carefully like I do. And many of them have very important and very useful features to them. They're almost more powerful than your levels. So I think I'm gonna change a bit the spells up. So generally speaking, as you can see, I'm a bit of a warrior slash mage. Most of my damage I deal with in melee with sword attacks, but I also, when I can, use magic or bows. And I really enjoy the versatility of this play. And for some bosses, like this old demon fire guy, having bows or sorcery is great, but for others you need to just use melee. And this is why I like my build, even though maybe my maximum damage output isn't the highest, and probably for NG plus you need a different kind of skill tree. I just kind of prefer having the pyromancy flame in my right hand for whatever reason. It just seems more logical to me to throw something with the right hand because my left hand throwing really sucks. So yeah, these knights are pretty strong. They do a whole lot of damage. So this is why I like pyromancy. It can be really useful in these kinds of fights. So maybe talking about disadvantages in this game is that honestly the graphics aren't that good. I think they're fine for this kind of game, but they haven't really improved that much since Dark Souls 1, frankly. And for some reason I sometimes experience, I think, some kind of FPS drops at certain moments, which can't be because of my computer, because I have like a high-end GTX 1080 and like one of the fastest builds that you can possibly have. So this must be because of the game, which is basically designed for PlayStation 3. And on the other hand, it's good that you can play it on a very low-level PC. I remember on my really old laptop I was able to play Dark Souls 1 and 2. And I also played on a gamepad because playing on the keyboard and mouse, it just doesn't feel right. And in case you don't have a gamepad, I would basically get one for like $20 or something from Logitech or Hama, like a PlayStation 2 gamepad type. So this is great. And also, to me personally, some of the areas feel a bit repetitive to Dark Souls 1 especially. Like, there's a swamp now and there was a swamp back then. In Dark Souls 1, many enemy types are the same, which is fine, I guess. But also, there was a fire area back in the day. Now there's a fire area. There was like some kind of thieves. Now there's a dark thieves area and so on. It's not exactly the same, but it's a bit similar, I would say. Okay, so now to close off this let's play and review, I think I'm gonna try to beat the boss. And this is Aldrich. And it's actually pretty difficult, so usually so far I haven't died too often with the bosses, but with this one I already died 3 times, I think, and I'm having difficulties, especially in the second phase, because he's really doing some pretty heavy magic. And it's a good example of a boss fight. These arrows are fucking scary. Okay, starts off great. As you can see, I lost half of my health already. I'm kicking her. So, he's doing really some pretty hard damage. He actually looks like a woman, I think, but whatever. And the problem is, his arrows are super strong, and even he's pretty slow in his attacks, and he gives some room for healing yourself, like this at this point, but all of his attacks are really deadly, basically. They all do a lot of damage. Just have to be pretty careful as to what you do. And look exactly at what she's doing, so I'm sure there's gonna be more difficult boss fights later in the game, but this one isn't a piece of cake because especially her ranged attacks are super dangerous. But she can, or he can also do a lot of damage in close combat, and you have to be very careful. Now he actually transformed in a second phase into like a fire guy, which does more damage, and the attacks are just more dangerous, generally speaking. This is the worst attacks, basically. There's arrows following you everywhere. They do so much damage that you're dying right away. So these do so much damage as well, these huge soul arrows. So this is certainly something Dark Souls is famous for. The bosses can be pretty frustrating and difficult, but I think it's not too difficult for it to become frustrating so far, but and I think I'm not doing so bad for now, even though she's sometimes doing a lot of damage to me. Or he. Okay, I think this was a mistake, because the arrows are gonna, yeah. So as you can see, the arrows just killed me. I tried to escape them, but it didn't really work, so I'm dead now. At least you can see a realistic picture. I'm not ashamed to show that I can suck as well, but if you're playing this game, you should just prepare to die a lot. And this is fine, this is what makes this game fun. And if you're still hesitant, I would really urge you to start this series. If you never played Dark Souls, start with Dark Souls 1, play Dark Souls 2, and play Dark Souls 3. Dark Souls 2 is probably the weakest in the series, maybe because the level design wasn't really as perfect as in the first one. But in general, I think it's an amazing game. It has a crazy atmosphere. The story is a bit confusing. I don't know if there's a real story, and also the fact that it's not really that great for beginners because you don't understand anything in the beginning, and you might have to read a bit at the beginning or watch a walkthrough for a while, although this might take some of the fascination off of it. But it's like a science initially to understand what a good weapon is and to understand how to play it. So I would actually, yeah. So yeah, all in all, I think it's an amazing game. You should definitely check it out, especially if you're a bit bored by like the standard games, the standard US games or whatever, or the standard RPGs that become so easy after a while, like even Skyrim. You become overpowered quite quickly, and it's pretty obvious what you need to do, like get like the Daedric sword and so on, but here it's not obvious at all. It's like you're confused a lot of the game. You don't know what choices you should make. This game is a lot about making the right choices, when to dodge, when to attack. You have to keep your enemies in sight and in mind. You can't just run towards your enemies and... yeah. You have to be a pretty smart player, you know, not like me right now. Alright. So, I hope you enjoyed this review and playthrough, and if you have any questions or remarks, just go ahead. And I think honestly, if you find a game that really moves you and that really you have a lot of fun playing, you should celebrate that. That's amazing. Especially for me, a lot of games don't do it anymore so much. They become boring. And finding a game that's really fun and that is really has your heart beating basically because you're nervous, you don't want to die. This is perfect, and this is why this game is so amazing and the series is so amazing. When you have a boss fight or you have a strong enemy, your hands are shaking because you really don't want to make any mistake and you have to stay really focused. And that I think is really amazing. And I think I'm not that great of a player, and also my build is a bit all over the place, but I just like to play this way, to being able to experiment